everybody. Welcome to today's edition of Getting Down to Business, and I'm your host, ScottDPerron. And as always, I try to bring some real bona fide talent to this show, and today is absolutely no exception. In fact, the young man that's with me today was one of the very first guests on my audio podcast when I started Getting Down to Business here in Florida. He is the owner and founder of Tweeds Custom Suit Shop. Everybody, please welcome Don Carlson. Don, how you doing?
Good to see you.
It's great to see you again, man. It's been a long time.
Can't believe it's been 2 years.
So in the time since we were introduced, and I sent you that stupid letter, and
It got me though.
I know. Well, I couldn't figure out a way to get to someone like you, especially as busy as you were, and you were just brand new in the business with a new showroom, looking at a second. And I said, yeah, instead of calling or texting or emailing, you're going to get a million of those. Let's just send him a good old fashioned letter. Yeah. Ask him to be on the show because I was genuinely interested in your business. And since that, we've sort of became friends. Hopefully you consider me a friend.
Absolutely.
I'm a client.
Yep.
I've referred bunches of people to you just because I love the experience that I had. And today I want to talk about the tremendous growth you guys have seen. I mean, we met each other in July of 23.
Yeah.
And here we are, August of 25, just a mere 2 years later. And how many locations does Tweeds have now?
We just opened our 11th location, first one outside of Florida.
It is absolutely amazing. And I know from the beginning, you were starting out in a van. I mean, you had a box truck fitted out to do custom measuring and selection processes at people's homes or businesses.
Yeah.
And it just morphed from there. You decided to put a showroom in Sarasota, the very first one.
Yep.
And then I think when we were talking last, you were looking at Tampa or another location to open your second location.
Yeah, if it was July, then we were probably just starting that process.
It is just amazing. For folks that don't run their own business and are looking to either get into business, I mean, my whole premise here is to teach people about business because I really love being my own boss. But it comes with trial and error. There's a lot of work to be done. And to understand, even with your model, with a fairly, and I don't want to call what you do simplistic, but your shops are tight, they're neat and clean.
Yep.
You have a certain amount of exclusivity and all kinds of customization comes down to your team. But to grow, regardless of all that, to grow into 11 locations, especially now that you're into another state, tell us about that journey these last couple of years since you and I first met.
Yeah, I mean, so when we first met, we had just opened Sarasota, so we're a few months into that. And then we were running the box truck 3 years before that. I never thought we'd even have one brick and mortar, and now we have 11, which is really crazy. But I think, I've always been someone who wanted to, well, in the beginning, I thought I would just keep it a box truck. I thought I'd be a solopreneur, be the one guy. And then, just kind of got inspired to want to grow the company into more. And, I don't think there's any reason to have to wait 10 years to get to 11 locations. I think if you do it diligently and you move fast, you can go as fast as you want.
Was that the game plan in the beginning?
No, definitely not.
So,
actually, when we had Sarasota and when we met, I guess that I was probably looking to start to open Tampa, and then we opened Tampa and a few months went by. And then I think 8 months later, we had opened the St. Pete store. And I remember telling the team at that point, hey, we have our triangle. We have Tampa, Sarasota, St. Pete. We're just going to work on dominating this. And then I think 2 months later we had signed Orlando and Naples, and it's always changing. I don't know if you have a game plan. You just, in business, you always got to be willing to change and rethink where you want to take your company. If you're happy with where it is, cool. But if you want to grow, getting into new markets, I think is super important.
So going back to the beginning, you grew up in this market.
Yeah.
Your family was in the dry cleaning business.
Yeah.
So you got introduced to the clothing business, so to speak, through that.
Yeah.
And I understand you were in charge of their marketing efforts at that time. What made you decide that, hey, instead of taking on the family business or continuing down that road, and that's something I did.
Yeah.
My father had a very small flooring company behind our house in a 5-car garage that I basically grew up on a roll of carpet from the time I was 7 or 8 years old. And then slowly morphed into all the different jobs and eventually started managing. And then when they decided to retire, we decided to take it to another level. In that time frame, we took it to 3 locations in New England before I moved to the Midwest and took a corporate job for a while. But 11 locations, especially in my world, be hard to fathom. Tell me how that all started and what made you say, maybe not going dry cleaning, but I'm going to take it this direction.
Yeah. So I worked with my dad. I love working with the family. My dad's awesome. But I worked with him from 2012 to 2019. And in the dry cleaning business, my goal was like, I didn't want to come in that business and press clothes or whatever. I wanted to help grow the business. So the first day on the job, I started knocking on doors, and I wanted to bring new clients into the company so that we can, expand the revenue. So I started knocking on doors and built a pickup and delivery service. I knocked on doors for 7 years, literally like all day, every day. And I think there's a point where I just got a little burnt out because I think maybe I was doing all the right things, but potentially was in the wrong vehicle. Like I really wanted to grow a big company, and got burnt out and realized I didn't really want to be in that business anymore. So I think, if you're maybe in this too, you might be doing the right things, but you could be in the wrong vehicle. And I think that may have been where I was at. So starting Tweeds was like the natural next step. I've always enjoyed dressing up too. So just like,
well, you wear them well. Okay? That's one of the things about Don. He looks good no matter what he wears. And the last time we met, you were wearing some cool outfit. And I got inspired to go down to your shop afterwards. And I have to tell you, from the time I met you guys, and we didn't know each other well the day we met at the radio station, but I just felt like, yes, you're in the business to make a profit and to sell product, but you really take your customers' concerns and interests and their desires at heart.
Yeah.
And really, I haven't met a single one of your team members, and of course, I haven't met them all now because you've been growing so fast, that doesn't feel the same way.
Yeah. Well, we're in a really unique business too. So, I think a lot of buying habits now are online. So like you don't get much of an experience, but when you get to come into Tweeds, like, you sit down with somebody for an hour, you build a custom product, and you just really get a cool product at the end of it. And so we care about that, and we want someone to look and feel really good with what we give them. So,
and that's interesting you mentioned that, because you have, you're in a space that so many of the big players are. I mean, clothing is everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's from Walmart on up. Some people go get dressed at the thrift shop, or they go to Goodwill, a lot of times because of budget concerns or other reasons, or just not, it's going to be for knockaround clothes or whatever. But to basically start a trend, which you have, I mean, for you to put 10 locations in Florida in a few years' time, you're starting a trend to teach people to dress up or to dress differently. And we invest money in lots of things. So I'm a golfer and I'm a pilot. So those two sports are expensive. Piloting especially, much more expensive. But if you feel good about the money you're spending, you're creating a trend that offers people the ability to get involved in something like this at a level that they've never done before and really get into it. You're not necessarily going after just a high-end clientele. You're going after a clientele that's going to be inspired by what you guys offer them.
Yeah, you don't need a whole wardrobe full of custom suits, but if you have one or two good ones, like you have some staple pieces, and you don't need to spend $50,000 or anything, you can get a good, nice suit and have something that'll last a long time. So
I remember when we did our first radio broadcast, one of the guys that I knew from Sarasota had called in and asked you some questions. And one of the main questions he asked was, how do you decide, if you've never bought custom clothes before, how do you decide what to start with?
Yeah. Yeah. We always like to figure that out in like our discovery process. Like, what does a client have in their wardrobe? Do they already have a navy and black and gray suit? Then maybe we could do something a little more funky, but you can never go wrong with a navy or gray for sure.
And, I've spoken to a lot of different customers of yours now, many of which I've met, either became friends with. Actually, one guy I met in your suit shop, his name's Zev Wexler.
Oh yeah.
Zev was on my show a few months back. He was both on the audio and the video podcast, and he's in that space of AI and digital marketing and works with some very large companies. He's speaking in many different places now all over the world. He actually just got back from Europe, and he was speaking over there. He's got another set of engagements he's going to do. And with AI blowing up, we get to talk about you a lot because that's how we met. And he's such a good guy.
Yeah, he is.
He was totally impressed with what he saw at your shop. And if it hadn't been for me sitting in there, I think I was getting measured for something that day. And
yeah, that's right. I remember. Yeah,
sitting with you guys in the back. He came to pick up his suit.
Yeah.
I would have never met the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have never had a shot at a guy like that. And he's been helpful with our business. We've made relationships on the AI platforms, and now he's working on our industry through some of our associations. This is all the kind of stuff that can happen through relationship building, which to me, Don, is becoming a lost art.
Yeah, no, networking and relationships are huge. And I think if I remember, Zev did a Navy suit too. He's speaking a lot, and that's something you can wear like over a pair of jeans, but you have a good suit, you can mix and match it with the dress shirt, and yeah, you can do a lot with that. So
that's what's so interesting about your shop. And guys, if you've never been to Tweeds, go to whatever location is closest to you, ask them to show you what they can do. And the team members that you have dress in a variety of different looks all the time. I've gone to a few of your events, which are outstanding. And that's where you can really see the breadth of what you guys design. Because not only is your team there dressed up,
a lot of the clients
are there in all their different garb, some of which is really funky, some of it is very standard, but looks sharp. And I don't care what anyone says when you're my weight and my age. And by the way, I think I should be one of your older models. You got a lot of young guys. You need to put old men.
Let's do a photo shoot.
Yeah, you know, because then guys my age who look like me are go, wow, I can look good too. Yeah. You can put lipstick on the pig, right? It was amazing to me how just a couple of articles that I bought from you initially really made the difference. And regardless of the fact that I'm not the bodybuilder I used to be when I was a kid, right? I was in much better shape when I was younger. People comment the minute I walk in somewhere, wow, that's a nice shirt. What a great jacket. They see this.
Yeah, the signature on the cuff.
Right. Yeah. And, or they'd say, hey, that must be from Tweeds because you have signatures, what you do with your jackets and that kind of stuff that you try to emulate. And one of them you guys did, I was speaking in Vegas and you did like a
casino.
It's a
blue and red one, right?
Yeah. And you did like a casino theme on the inside and everybody was like, wow, that's, it's just little things like that little customization that you can't get anywhere else. Boy, you guys can really put it together. And it's almost a list of endless possibilities.
It really, from the buttons to the stitching to the lining and custom liners, you can really do anything you want.
So since you started, kind of explain in terms of the product offering, if you're going to say to somebody, we used to do this, but now we can go as far as this, what really is your mainstay? Where's your bread buttered in your business? And where do you guys feel you really excel?
Like what clients are looking for in terms of colors
and what they may or may not know you guys can offer. In other words, when a guy walks in who's never been in a custom suit shop or he hasn't done anything like that for 20 years because he's my age, what do you guys say to them and say, hey, what does the discovery process look like and what are you capable of doing?
Yeah, we could, again, it's all made from scratch, so we can do a lot. But, one thing that's cool for like business owners is like doing a custom liner on the inside for like a, client's business logo, which is super cool. If you're getting married, we can like custom print like pictures of your relationship through the years on the inside. I think we did on the blue and red jacket, we did like a red stitching and red.
Yeah. And
so
on the button,
it's a little touch, but it's really a custom touch and clients love that. So
yeah. And they can see it. One thing is the fit, because it's obvious when something fits you and it's cut right and all that. And I know when we talked originally, you had said there's like 4 fits, right? Yeah. Let me see if I can remember them. So there's fitted, there's traditional, there's comfort, and there's
slim.
Yeah,
that'll be the first. Yeah.
The one I never use.
Yeah, that's kind of part of the process too, is like, kind of understanding what the client wants for a fit. I think you'll probably see a lot of the guys that work with Tweeds like a more slim or fitted cut, but if someone wants to come in and they want more movement, more comfortability, like we just cut it around their preferences.
Tell us about the shops. Tell us about, obviously you have 11 locations.
Yeah. Every shop has its own kind of unique design to it. We have a guy.
And is that because of where it is?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Like in West Palm, we did a really cool, I'll send pictures. Maybe we could throw it up.
We absolutely will.
Yeah. Really cool design and for Palm Beach, but I have a designer now in Boise who's done the last 8 stores. And so we always, we do Zoom calls when we sign a lease and like start designing it all out. And really the idea with Tweeds though is that, a client could come in, sit down, have a drink, talk to their clothier and help design out new pieces for their wardrobe or whatever event they have coming up. So we don't really do any, it is.
It's a club.
And we don't do any ready to wear much anymore. We really just like to focus on custom because we believe in that product. So
yeah, and it must be hard no matter how good you guys are at the selection process to inventory the right items that are going to be.
Yeah.
I guess the whole reason you go to custom clothes, you don't pull it off the rack.
Yep.
And so you guys can excel on the things that are obviously very.
Yeah, ready to wear is great, right? Like it's quick, it's convenient, but you either don't get the right fit or, what you see is what you get. So with us, there's endless possibilities. So. And
that's what I'm interested, as I said, it's a club, the experience going in your store is just, I think I told you in the very first podcast we did, Garfield Jones was the hometown store that I used to go to as a kid. It was the only place in the town we lived in that offered to buy a suit, right? And they tailored it, but they didn't custom fit it, right? And all the guys, the businessmen were there, and they all kind of had the same look. You know, in those days, everybody kind of looked the same. They dressed the same, but you could tell a custom suit from a rack suit, no matter how good looking the guy was and what shape he was in, when you fit a suit to somebody. And wow, it's come full circle. Yet you don't have to have a 10,000 square foot store. You guys really do a great
compact.
job. Yes. And you have that bar environment, which is cool. You can go in and have a cocktail because it's a private event. Sort of thing for you. And that just, I don't know, it makes the whole process more fun. You know, I dread clothes shopping until I walked in your store.
Yeah, that's good. We try to put a good experience to it. Yeah, our Tampa store is, 600 square feet. So we don't need that much space.
Right.
That's our smallest store, but yeah.
Right. Well, fabric's not too big, right? To make it larger,
exactly.
You can do.
Yeah.
So talk about the business side of it a little bit, because, it's obvious your craft, or you wouldn't have 11 stores.
Yeah.
Let's start with the team. Talk to me about how, because one thing I can tell you, and I'm actually dealing with my son on this, because he's growing his golf business we were just discussing before we started. And leadership of a team is entirely different than being a salesman, being a businessman, having a CPA degree, understanding marketing. People in leadership skills, that's a difficult task.
Yeah.
And you are accountable to them to be a great leader. Otherwise they don't shine. Talk to me about, because no one grows up as a leader. You become a leader, and you obviously have. Tell me about your team in this process.
Yeah, I mean, I'm learning every day to become better. So, but we've been really blessed to have just a really, really good team. I mean, all the guys are completely committed to the vision, and we try to, let them know where we're trying to take it, and everyone's always trying to push to help get us there. And yeah, without having a good team, you can't do anything.
So let's go back to that. What is the vision? What's Don Carlson selling the team, and what is the team buying?
Really, I mean, it's just getting everyone excited about continuing to grow the company and expand into new areas and getting the name out there to more states, more cities, because we all believe we have a great product, and we're all just super excited about it.
Did you go to school for this?
No.
So this is all homegrown in your head.
Yeah.
Just a lot of hard work.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about leadership too. You just I have to have a vision and be the captain of the ship and just continue to try to set it in the right direction. And seems to be working so far, but hopefully we can continue to make that happen.
How do you select the people you're going to bring on?
A lot of them have been friends of mine or clients. We've brought on a few clients to join the team, which has been kind of cool. Younger guys. Some of my high school buddies have joined the team. I want to try to continue to grow the team within the inner circle that I've known for a long time.
So a trust factor.
Yeah, trust factor for sure.
And now that you're at number 11, now what, because the goals are ever changing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now what's the goal?
Well, the short-term goal right now is to have 15 stores open by the end of the year.
Okay.
So
what do you have your eyes on now? Any locations?
Georgia, the Southeast states, Georgia, the Carolinas, that type of stuff.
You want to be in Atlanta, markets like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
Yeah.
What about Chattanooga?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a good faction of people. I do business in flooring. Pretty much happens from Atlanta to Chattanooga.
Yeah.
Right. That quadrant there, Dalton, Calhoun, Chattanooga, Georgia, or Chattanooga, Tennessee, Atlanta is the base operations for most of these.
Yeah.
It's such a large business up there. When you drive through those markets, you see it's just Shaw and Mohawk and all these large companies. They're massive mills with lots of executives, lots of guys that dress well, and a lot of their sales team, they're coming to town. Atlanta's a big spot. It's one of the major locations for conventions.
Yeah.
And I'm never ceased to amaze at how that city, with the traffic and it's hustle and bustle, but they're great people.
Yeah. We just spent a few days in Atlanta, because that's where we're trying to, expand into next. Understanding the suburbs and all that. And I think we have a good few potential locations on the works.
Well, I mean this when I say this to you, because I'm so fond of what you guys have done. I really am. And I would love to, whatever you end up doing in Atlanta, I have a great Rolodex of people that I would love to just introduce you to in terms of a business.
Yeah.
Not say you're out having dinner with all those people, because you won't have time for that. But to introduce you guys to that market, because they would really be impressed with the level of service you guys are offering, and they are your perfect client type.
So do you go to Chattanooga a lot?
I do.
Okay.
I have a very good friend up there who has a major distribution point. He has a house up on Lookout Mountain, and he has another summer place out on the river.
Okay.
And Chattanooga, he's a member of the Chattanooga Country Club. He's very entrenched in northern Dalton and the Chattanooga area with his businesses. He's got 4 or 5 locations there in terms of warehouses and stuff. And what a difference that city is from what it was 25 years ago. It's completely morphed.
Seems like that's with a lot of cities, just a lot of growth everywhere.
Yeah, and it's interesting people pick that city as kind of an old mill town, old manufacturing town, lots of brick buildings, lots of old, kind of like you see on the side here. I mean, that's what everything looks like up there. And some people started to come in and sink money in there, revitalize it. A lot of investors came in and bought up housing that they turned into, single family homes and rentals and properties and stuff. And it's gotten to be a place, a suburb that, middle and upper income people are moving to. So it's pretty impressive. Honestly, 25, 30 years ago, I used to attend conventions up there because we had a couple of groups that we used to go with. And it was nice. The Southern hospitality was always there. But the downtown area and the surrounding areas of those suburbs is just amazing how they've exploded.
Yeah, I haven't been up there, but I'll have to take a ride.
Definitely for sure. And I've got some great guys that I could introduce you to. They're not involved just in flooring, but they know the real estate market there really well because they've bought a lot of it. Yeah. And that's those are the inroads to the guys that are making decisions.
Yeah.
People that I always say in Sarasota, there's 400,000 or 500,000 people in our trade area. But what I found out is there's 500 people you really need to meet. And they'll connect you with everybody else. Yeah. And it's a small town, and we've been blessed like you. We're very lucky. We parachuted in this market. I'm not from Sarasota. I'm not from Florida. Yeah. I'm a Northeast kid. Yeah. And they welcomed us. They really did. I mean, you have to do good work. You have to do what you say you're going to do and keep your word. Yeah. But if you do that in a town like this, people have good memories and they'll refer you out. In your shop, it's not hard to get that done at all.
Yeah. Well, it's all relationship based with us too.
So besides wanting to be an entrepreneur and things are going well, obviously you've opened 11 locations. Tell us some of the pitfalls, because this is a business show and you want to say, yeah, it wasn't all, sunshine and rainbows.
Well, I mean, every day.
Where's the hard parts?
I mean, I think every day is an up and down roller coaster, right? As you're a business owner, you have good days and bad days. I think maybe, I don't really know if I can think of any pitfalls like specifically, but obviously I haven't done everything right. But
you'd be the first if you did. Don't know if anybody's done that yet.
Yeah, no. But I guess maybe potentially the only thing I can think of is just moving quicker earlier on, because 3 years were spent in the box truck, just kind of being like the solo guy, and it kind of took me a while to like raise my belief lid on where we could go. And only recently did I thought we were going to stay in Florida for longer. Like my goal was to open up a few more stores in Florida before we moved out of the state, but I feel like we kind of capped it here. I just had this, low belief lid in my head that we can't move out of Florida for whatever reason, but I just kind of shattered through that. And now we're just, we're going to continue to expand and make things happen. So, yeah.
Well, that's a perfect way to end the first segment. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. In that break, you're going to see some incredible pictures of what this team does at Tweeds Custom Suit Shop. We got Don Carlson, the founder and owner of Tweeds, and we'll be right back after this. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Getting Down to Business. And I have a terrific guest, my friend. I am a client. Hopefully one day I get him to buy some flooring for me. No, I'm just kidding. Don Carlson, the founder and owner of Tweeds Custom Suit Shop. We've been talking about the amazing growth of the company. 11 locations now. The pictures we just showed, product, your locations. I mean, anything you can provide us is going to be there for people to see. I want to go back to something that I'm very firmly believe in, and we might have talked about it on the audio. Consistently, I talk about 7 P's of business, right? Which are pain, plan, process, passion, people, patrons, and profit. And I wrote articles about that. I followed this guideline my whole life. When I consult with other companies, because I do some of this outside work for companies that want to talk about marketing or doing financial planning or any of the things that I've learned over the years by listening to other people that were much smarter than me. And when they ask me for that information, I love doing it. Of those, and pain, I'm finding your pain. Plan, I'm creating a plan to fix that pain.
Yeah.
Then a process to follow the plan. A passion, you got to have, which you clearly do, or you wouldn't be doing this. You surround yourself with the best people. You get terrific clients, which are patrons, and all of those 6 things culminate to profit. Without profit, you can't run a business.
Right.
Which of those 3 would you say are your favorite?
Oof. Give them to me one more time.
Okay, pain.
Yep.
Plan.
Yep.
Process.
I say process.
Process.
Yeah, I mean, people obviously are the most important.
Yep.
I mean, speaking of your team and everything.
Sure.
But process, especially as we continue to grow, because we're adding a lot of layers right now, and if you don't have like a good foundation, and as you continue to stack up, it could all crack if you don't have a good process. So we're putting in a lot of new processes, and actually we've got a great process that everyone follows, but adding in like leadership and everything right now is something that we're putting into place.
And I mean this sincerely. I thought you would say process, people, and patrons, because it's clear that you have a mindset to care for all 3.
Mm-hmm.
Process is almost automatic. In order to go from 1 to 2 stores, 3 maybe, you got so many arms, right? Even with good people. But to get to 11, the process internally, the business, let's just say for sake of argument, every store does $1. Okay, $1, $2, $3, fine. Now you're at 11 times that, right?
Yeah.
Whatever the volume is, it doesn't matter. But you're controlling all that, and yet it's still one company.
Yeah.
One company with 11 locations.
Yeah.
The people run everything,
Yeah.
but they are totally dependent, besides leadership, on the process.
Yeah.
If what they do in the morning they don't understand, or they can't control, or they're not studying, or they're not being taught, it's almost impossible for them to do their job.
Yeah. So I guess they have to be built into the vision and committed to the company. One thing, back to the dry cleaning, I had a hard time with that business because, as we continue to build our pickup and delivery service, it was a good job that paid minimum wage or above that. And it was hard for me to really convince people to come on to the team because I knew it was just a temporary job. It wasn't a career. But I really believe what we're doing with Tweeds, and whenever I offer a job to somebody, I know that I'm offering them a good opportunity because I know we're going to go through a lot of growth and there's a good opportunity to make good money.
Talk about some of your key people. Start with your oldest employee. Who's the oldest one? Rob.
Yeah.
So Rob's the guy that constantly hits me up.
Yeah.
I love the way he does it.
Yeah.
He reaches out every once in a while and says, hey, can I hook you up with some shirts? How are things going? He doesn't always try to sell anything. And I always tell him, a lot of times it's funny. I'm out of town. I've been traveling in a different country. I'm in a different state. He just happens to catch me then. And I always tell him the same thing, Rob, when I'm ready to do anything, I'm coming right back to you because the service I've gotten from you guys has been amazing. Yeah. But the fact that he consistently reaches out and that touch point is there, that's important, whether you're buying something today or not.
Yeah, Rob was super key, and I tell him this all the time and the guys, because when I decided to bring on the first guy to start to grow the company, it was Rob, and me and Rob had known each other for a long time. But Rob was such a great hire, and he's such a good person that it made it easy to continue to bring on people. Because I always think, I'm man, if Rob or that first hire wasn't a good hire, would I have continued to bring on people and try to grow? Maybe I would have got discouraged and no, this isn't it. I don't know that that's how it would have been, but he was a key person. And
you're 100% right about that. I've been doing this all my life. And one of the things that can be discouraging to any leader or owner is feeling like you're giving an opportunity to somebody or having somebody come on board with the team and it looks like they're on all cylinders with you, and all of a sudden they go off to a better,
opportunity or something
in their mind, right? And what's concerning to me, and I'll share this with you just because you're young and I'm not, it happens more and more these days. Kids job jumping one after the other. And I don't think they realize, yes, it's important to find a good place to land and to have a place that maybe surrounds your values and all that. But you need to put some time in. You know, if you don't get your feet,
it's not going to happen in 12 months.
No, especially sales or management or growth of a business like this. This is no easy task.
No. I mean, in sales, you could do pretty good pretty quickly if you really pound the pavement and really push it. But most of the time people aren't doing that, and it does take time to get going.
Well, and you just said it. You just said exactly what I was going to say. The effort it takes to get good at sales early.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If you're out there listening, guys, if we're owners, when we see somebody putting that effort in, and maybe they're falling short for whatever reason, process, not the right product, somebody didn't teach them the right thing, we're going to jump in and help you because we see the effort. But if we don't see the effort, it's really hard. You know, I don't want someone making excuses for their lack of accomplishment in a job when they want to show up at 10 minutes after their start time, leave 5 minutes early, looking at the clock, what time is lunch? And not that you don't need to get lunch and all these other benefits you're supposed to get as an employee, but you can't be focused on the benefits without putting in the work.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to see the bigger picture and see where it could take you if you believe that you can get there.
After Rob?
Mike. Yeah. So me and Mike knew each other in the dry cleaning days. He was actually like a consultant for other dry cleaners and for us at one point. So we met out of state. And when we opened the Sarasota store, I realized that I needed another guy to help run the location. So I called Mike, and Mike was a second amazing hire, and it just kind of continued to snowball like that.
Anybody else you want to shout out while we're doing this? Not that you don't
shout out every guy, but I mean, TJ, it was funny with TJ because TJ's like one of my best friends from high school. And at the point, it was me, Rob, and Mike, and TJ hit me up. We didn't talk too much after high school. But we always stayed in contact, and he's like, saw everything we were doing with Tweeds, and he wanted to leave his job and come work with Tweeds. And I was like, dude, I just don't think it's the right time. Like, I want to make sure if I'm going to have you come on the team, like you can be successful, but I've already got 2 guys and I just don't know that there's room. He's like, let me just come on the team. Let me do this. So I was like, all right, for the first few months, you'll just be 1099. You don't have to come in the shop. Just go in and try to make sales. And TJ just went out and hustled his butt off, and he does amazing. He's probably our top performing sales guy, and he's another great dude. And he's actually taken on a sales manager role now. So now we're creating levels of sales management. And so he just took on that first role for that. So
besides the obvious that we've discussed, what do you think sets Tweeds apart from everybody else that's in the space? And when I say the space, really, it's not fair to use big box or any of that. But there are a lot of other companies that do custom work.
I think one thing.
What's Tweed's secret sauce that you're willing to share?
I think when you go into a lot of other suit shops that might offer a custom product, they're also offering like bow ties and cufflinks and a lot of accessories, and they don't really focus on their core product. With us, we really focus on trying to make the best custom suits, and you'll see that in the design process, the measuring process. And, we really care about getting our clients the best product. And I think if you went through that process, you would see that.
Any plans to do anything for women?
We do women's custom suits. Yeah, we don't push it as much, and Tweeds might seem more like a men's brand, but we do women's custom suits, and we want to try to start pushing that a little bit more.
Before I ask you my fun question, what do you get for responses from women that see the work you're doing for their boyfriends, their husbands, their dads?
If they want to have their own custom suit.
Well, when the ladies see the result of the work you put in for the men in their lives.
It. Yeah, because most guys, it definitely is a more dressed down environment these days. So when the lady gets to see their man in a custom suit and looking good, they love that.
I will tell you right now, guys, if you want a little secret sauce when it comes to getting a lady, you need to dress sharp.
Yeah.
My father, back when I was a kid, sport jacket all the time. Always look good. They had Sanzabel pants back then and all that other stuff. It was a different day, the 50s, 60s, 70s. But he always looked sharp. Yeah. Always worried about combing his hair. Always worried about having a little cologne on. Yeah. Just look. And, the results were there. I mean, the ladies loved him. The guys loved him because he was cool. And really a lot of it had to do with how he cared for his appearance. Yeah. He'd put on jeans and go out in the yard and work. Yeah. But during business hours, he looked sharp.
He probably wore a dress shirt too, though.
He did wear a dress shirt. Yeah. Always a sport jacket almost all the time. Yeah. And anytime you saw them in pictures, they were always dressed sharp. My mom was a great dresser as well. And, it kind of rubbed off on me. But to take it to the next level what you guys do is a completely different experience.
Yeah, thank you.
So what are the goals for the remainder of 2025? I know you want to have 15.
Yeah. That's probably the biggest goal. And I guess as we continue to grow, it's kind of like we were talking about process before, like it's just naturally forcing me to put new processes into place and systems. And that's definitely a super exciting part. I'm reading a book right now, Good to Great.
Yeah. Excellent book.
Yeah. I'm like super into it right
and
now.
That was written a long time ago. Yeah. And it still applies.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, the 1 Minute Manager, Good to Great, Traction. There's just so many terrific books out there on business. And a lot of them are from that past generation because those principles still apply. However, one of my next questions was going to be, talk a little bit about the unique blend of marketing you do. Because obviously you were marketing for Carlson's, right? You get into Tweeds, and I got to tell you, I can't go on Facebook or any other place without seeing an ad for you guys that are really well done and they're cool. Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about the marketing program.
Well, one mentor of mine, it would be Grant Cardone.
Yeah, absolutely.
I followed him for a long time. I know there's a lot of people have their feelings about him, but the biggest thing I've ever taken away from him was, if they don't know you, they can't flow you, Although I think we have a great product, he says the best known product or the best product doesn't beat the most known product. And so if we want to continue to grow and get our name out there, I think the most important thing that we can do is market and get customer acquisition. So that is the number one thing I typically focus on.
Two big examples of that in my lifetime are Gem Jewelry, which is a jewelry company that used to be up in Connecticut, or probably still is. And when we were kids, and I'm saying 10, 12, 15 years old, these guys would go on cable TV, and it was constant, Gem Jewelry, getting the best prices on gold, whatever. I mean, they were hammering the cable airwaves. And then when I was finally old enough to go into Gem and buy a piece of jewelry for a girlfriend or whatever, I realized it was this tiny little shop, and they literally had so many people in there, they had to have an armed guard. That's going awesome. In and out of this jewelry store. And then eventually they started expanding and they had multiple stores. The other one was Bob's Discount Furniture, which you do see on TV down here. Mm-hmm. He became the largest furniture outlet on the eastern seaboard. He started with one waterbed shop in Newington, Connecticut, behind my home where I lived. And I had a store there, in a flooring store back in 2000 to 2008. And they just blew up. They got bought out. He sold a majority share to a private equity firm, and they just blew this thing out. But their secret sauce was advertising. Yeah. And it was back in the days when you had to be on radio, cable TV, and regular broadcast TV. Yeah. Now the marketing landscape
the scope has changed, but the principle's the same. Mm-hmm. You got to get your name out there.
And the third one, which everyone who watches this in Florida will understand, is Morgan & Morgan.
Yeah,
right. Joe Morgan is a good lawyer. Yeah. Joe Morgan's a great businessman. Joe Morgan's a fantastic marketer, right? Yeah. They sold the sizzle of it's a law firm. Yeah. Are they the best law firm? Maybe. Yeah. Maybe they are. Do they get more money than any other personal injury further? Maybe they do.Maybe they don't. Yeah. But what they've certainly done is they've gotten their name out there and they've grown into the single biggest personal injury law firm in the world. Yeah. That's just amazing. And my father unfortunately passed away a few years ago, but he lived in this market for many years. And he said, I used to watch that little kid on TV because he was a kid then. Yeah. And he goes, it was amazing to me, the amount of advertising they would do, the consistency, but around what we could do for a client. We're family based and we're here to help. And they just flooded the airwaves with that. And probably, I would venture to guess, maybe went into a little hock to do it, even being a lawyer, but eventually that ball starts rolling over the hill and coming down and you can't stop it.
Yeah. I've watched a few interviews with him, and he started in Orlando, and then he kind of talks about how he started in Orlando and then went to Tampa and then moved. And then now Morgan & Morgan is what it is
all over the country.
Yeah, it's just awesome. Amazing. He's definitely something I look up to for sure.
And what I like about him is he's pretty outspoken. Yeah. When you talk about politics, he gets into it. He's on the liberal side more often than not. And he knows the Pelosi's and all those because he's a big donor to the efforts, but he's a no nonsense businessman. Yeah. If you ask him questions, he tells you straight. You may not like the answer, but he gives you out of his heart what he really believes to be true. And you can't go against his politics necessarily if you're going to talk about business, because he built a tremendous business.
Yeah, he did.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about beyond 2025, and then I'll have only one more question for you. What do you see now? Because it's obvious you have now taken just in this 2 years since I met you, You've taken a whole different belief level of what Tweeds is and what it can be. Yeah. You're clearly focused on taking care of your clients. Yeah. You're leading a great team. You're opening up in many different markets, and you're putting a little bit of pizzazz in each one based on where it is, rather than just having them all be a cookie cutter donut shop, which I think in the custom world is very smart.
Yeah. Yeah. We've thought about too, like potentially doing like one design across the board, but we kind of like what we're doing. Maybe one day that'll change. I don't know.
I'll be honest with you, I kind of like it too, because you never know what space you're going to get.
Yeah.
And unless it's a McDonald's where it's building the same footprint.
Right. Yeah. They all have a different layout.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So now what? What's after 2025? Like now, what's in?
I'm a growth person. I mean, the thing I always think about is just expansion and getting into new markets. And I would say 5 stores every 6 months is probably what I have my eyes set on. And then I just think, again, naturally, it's just going to force us to grow into a more strong company. As I like to try to I'm a little, so when we open a new store, I don't know who's going to run the store. I'd rather go sign the lease and then to go figure it out. Cause I feel like the commitment's in the lease.
Clearly.
It's not in, let me interview 30 people and see if I can find the right person. If I do, then I'll open a store.
Yeah, no, that's backwards.
Yeah. That's how I think.
If you're really committed.
If you're really committed, because the commitment is, all right, now I've got this commitment. Now I got to figure it out.
Well, and since you've done 10 others, when you go to 11, it's a little bit less pressure on you to find that person because you know they're out there.
Yeah.
And you're building a culture of people that want to work there and they want to do what you're doing. It's not that they're just there for a job now. And when I go on your website and look at the pictures of your team and everything, the way they dress, they're just smiling. It's a fun job. You're not digging ditches.
No.
Right.
No. Right. We're in a comfortable environment and we get to work with awesome people.
Yeah.
So when we bring on a new person, I've got a bunch of guys who love to train and help them be in the culture and environment. So,
well, I'm going to push this out all over the place. So what would you say to people that might be looking to join your team? How do they reach you, or how do people get your contact information and find Tweeds Custom Suit Shop?
You can follow us on Instagram. I get all the DMs, which is Tweeds Suit Shop. You could call me. My cell number is 941-343-7606.
And we'll put that up on the screen for you folks as well.
Yeah. If you're looking, I guess if you're watching this and you're looking to join, a fast growing company with a great culture, and, we have a lot of growth plans and we're all excited about it, then this would definitely be the thing for you for sure.
And the last question for you, most important, how do I get a discount coupon for my next purchase at Tweeds?
We don't typically do discounts.
I had to leave you one at the end. You said, don't send me the question, so I didn't. I left that one for myself. I'm just teasing. I love dealing with you guys. It's an amazing company. I'm looking forward to following your growth, and hopefully you will be willing to come back on getting down to business as you grow it to the next level.
Yeah.
And maybe bring a teammate or so. And who knows, maybe we'll do it from Atlanta or somewhere close to one of your new locations.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
That would be great.
Maybe it'll be not 2 years from now, maybe a year from now.
Well, Don,
see where we're at.
I appreciate it. I wish the best to you, the company, your team, and your family.
Thank you.
And all the people in your life, because I think you're just building. I'm so impressed. The reason I do this show is business, but nothing impressed me more when somebody really shifts a gear and takes some risk. You're taking some risk, but you're a young man, you're bright, you got a good team of young folks that are just getting in the game. And I just wish you all the success in the world.
Thank you. Yeah, and if I have one thing to leave, I would say just if you have troubles or you're staying in the same position, if you just raise your belief lid, because I feel like your belief lid's the cap. So if you can raise that, you can definitely do more. So.
Yeah, if you don't believe you can do it, you can't.
100%.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
100%.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you.
I'm going to get you back here again. Maybe next time we'll be flying in your private jet to your 1200 store or something, but whatever, I'll be glad to watch the jet for you. Guys, thanks very much for taking the time to join us today. This has been Getting Down to Business with ScottDPerron. I had a wonderful guest today, Donald Carlson, the founder and owner of Tweeds Custom Suit Shop. Follow them online. Check out their contact information and all the beautiful pictures you'll see with this broadcast. And have a great day. Stay healthy and keep putting a smile on your face.